Hello, adventurers. Today we're going back to Reddit's r/DMAcademy looking for people looking for advice. We'll get into a vindictive NPC with a huge bankroll, how collaborative a backstory should be, and one of the more important examples of why to differentiate player versus player character. I should mention this is episode 50. The average podcast fades out after about 12 episodes, and we almost did for a minute there, and my other podcasts definitely have. Yeah, we took some breaks here and there and retooled a few things, but I'm actually really happy with the way things are going. So thanks so much for listening, and we're looking forward to the next 50 and beyond. Now let's see if we can solve some problems instead of causing them for once. Everybody roll initiative.
Sometimes talking with friends feels like role-playing. Sometimes it feels like combat. Join us at the round table and roll initiative. This is Curmudgeons and Dragons.
Hello, adventurers. I'm Jason Portizo, and today I am joined by, in this order on my screen today, Mr. Jim Crocker.
Hey.
Mr. Greg Genovis.
Hello.
And Mr. Josie Diaz.
Well, hello there.
You all get misters today. That's all
I'm going to talk like this for the rest. No, wait. I already fucked it up. Never mind.
Yeah, nailed it. Nailed it. You
nailed it in one. Let's go.
You cannot come up with a voice more annoying than your real one, so...
I know that you know that that's not true.
That's absolutely not true. All right, today we are going through Reddit's DMAcademy and looking for posts that are asking for advice. So we're going to go ahead and give them some advice.
It's the baby DM forum. That's what I call it when I talk to my wife about it.
And as a baby DM myself, I appreciate it. But no, that's why I like this group so much. We got a couple of veteran DMs, Josie, who is a forever player, and me, who is an aspiring DM. So we get to give perspective on this from a couple of different angles, and especially, Jim being with tons of experience in old school D&D, and Greg a little more modern, and like we get to attack this from a couple different sides. It can be kind of cool.
I like that you use the beginning of these to kind of like soothe my anxieties about not being a DM.
Yeah, and all of the ways you find to sort of dance around just saying that I'm old is very much appreciated as well.
Well, I said your experience is vast and bountiful.
Yeah, there we go.
Your well of knowledge.
You interpreted that as you're old.
All right.
You are aged and wise, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Let's dive right in. First post that I got here, this is actually from today, and I was flipping through this before, and I thought it was awesome. This is posted by user, what the hell is this? few-ad-6512, whatever. Question is, what can rich NPCs do if they hate players? So my players don't think there will be consequences of their actions, just like players. Last session, they stole something from a really rich NPC, and they made it obvious that it was them. Now my rich NPC wants his item, and most importantly, he wants revenge. What can he send or do? His initial thoughts were an assassin or an invisible stalker, but I think we can be more creative than that. So
I think you could just send the city fucking guard.
We can get the guards.
That's almost too easy.
Can I start with one of my pet peeves on this particular forum, the DMAcademy thing?
I have an idea where you're going with this, but go ahead and put it in your own words.
So the rich NPC can't do shit to the players. He can't do anything to the players. We can come up with all kinds of things he can do to the characters.
There we go.
And the difference between people saying player when they mean character on this forum is like a constant thing that actually does occasionally cause real confusion. But so just so we make it clear that we're going to talk about what he can do to the characters.
Yes.
And not the players.
You're right. I was just reading it verbatim, but I kind of get that they're used interchangeably and should not be.
Yeah, it's also one of those things where I'm being pedantic because we know what they mean.
Sure.
Even so,
and you also player is kind of the opposite of DM. So it's the DM trying to interact with the players, but we know it's characters.
But yeah, Jim, your point is a pretty good one because I feel like it can very easily devolve from meaning his player characters to being more vindictive towards the players themselves. So that is an important distinction.
Yeah, and I don't think that doesn't sound like the case for this story.
Oh, I'm not saying it is or
this
it
is a
I'm just saying
linguistics thing that your language, how you write, directs your frame of mind.
Yeah.
I thought the direction you were going to take that in was it's a lot of posts about DMs looking for a way to punish players.
There is a lot of that. So my initial thought upon seeing this was that we kind of need more context because like rich guy doesn't tell us anything about that rich guy. Is he rich because he's like the nephew of the emperor? Is he rich because he's an organized crime boss? Is he rich because he's a retired adventurer that like nabbed a couple of dragon hordes? Like, why is he rich? Where does his money come from? And then when we know that, then we can really, figure out how he would put the screws to the PCs.
I don't necessarily think that's true if you're thinking of it just as the amount of money that they have. They have the money to like pay off people and kind of like in any of those situations that you said, they would have influence in certain spheres where they could have like public attention reflect negatively on the party for the things that they've done.
The old
but I guess
Luthor
if it's just
route.
purely what can you throw gold at to make happen?
So I'm looking through the comments. I don't see anything from the original poster because this is just from earlier today. Hopefully they'll get back into it with some details. But one comment does bring up something similar to what you're just saying. So this is from Kiriko Kiyama. Are we talking rich or rich NPCs? So your average Joe rich guy might hire a killer, but then there's the rich people. I think
that's who I'm thinking of.
Hiring a killer, how pedestrian. I want to make their lives miserable. The shops in the city do not sell or buy stuff anymore. Inns throw you out without reason given. Organizations to where you were friendly with cool down the relationship gradually. The Thieves Guild suddenly has an increased interest of taking everything you possess. Then the talking begins. Rumors spread. Evidence for the rumors appear. People swear before judges that they saw you doing unspeakable acts. And they go on and they go on. But like money, a lot of money is cool. A lot of money is power.
Yeah, I mean, are they a senator or are they Elon Musk? That's but here's another thing that you could do that I don't think I saw anybody in the thread talk about that I think would be fascinating, and that if this happened in my game, it's what I might think about doing, which is rich guy is actually impressed that these idiots managed to steal this thing from the people that he otherwise pays a whole lot of money to keep stuff safe.
Mm-hmm.
So he just, has them arrested, and they're sitting there in the cell, and he walks in, doing a little golf clap saying, I am very impressed that you managed to steal, the opal of the moon from me. And so rather than have you running around causing me any more trouble, I would like you to work for me. It's that, or if you see that gallows that they're building outside right now, like you can use that thing to turn that person into a patron. That is kind of like a complicated relationship, and they know, like he knows that they're unreliable. They know that he is maybe pissed off at them, but he doesn't want them working for, anybody else and stuff like this. And that's another way that you could kind of twist that and, and bring that power that he has to bear, is to essentially say, yeah, okay, your punishment for doing this is that you work for me now until I say you don't anymore.
Yeah, that's a hook I've seen get used a couple of times in the couple of games that I've played. I'm trying to think now. That's been a really common one for like the first couple of missions for low level characters. We had like the city guard bullying some people who were looking for help, and then after they turned attention on us, we were forced to kill them. And as we're getting thrown in jail, we beat up their star guard, and we got pushed into mercenary work for them, and a couple other times as well too. But the idea of punishing them by not punishing them and kind of just making them take a different direction is a pretty cool one.
That also gives you more options in the future, as opposed to like public shaming or sending an assassin too.
Yeah, because there's also a balance that you got to achieve here where, like, if you're not just going to say, well, you screwed over the super rich guy and eventually he's going to do you all in, so campaign is over. Like, there's got to be some kind of an out there. Otherwise, the game becomes the entire campaign becomes about this rich guy trying to do them in.
Mhm.
And you want that to be like a story and a part of what's going on. But if you kind
You
of
don't want it to
really
be the whole
escalate to
thing.
if you really escalate to the point where it logically, like somebody genuinely obsessive might escalate it to, that becomes their whole lives.
Now, if this is a long-term game, like a very long-term game, a multiple-year campaign, that could, I mean, if that's where it goes for a couple of months, because that's where they took it on themselves to take it, not bad.
Yeah, and if everybody's cool with it, and
Yeah.
but that's definitely a thing where I'd have a little bit of a table talk,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm always in favor of like, the campaign could go in a little weird direction that we hadn't talked about. Get up on the table and say, hey, how would you guys feel about this like vendetta turning into a thing that we deal with?
Do you guys
for a
want to
couple of
explore
months?
this? Yeah.
We love a B story.
Yeah, and it becomes, we turn it into like D&D version of The Fugitive for, like you say, for like a quarter or something like that. And if everyone goes, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. We hadn't thought of that, but sure.
Players
then,
are being sent on fetch missions from MacGuffins all the time. Might as well have someone be trying to fetch something from you. That'd be kind of cool. Playing defense in a fetch mission.
Yeah.
I will say that before we move on, one of my favorite ones here, and the top comment here has like a bunch of bullet points on what to do. I'm not going to read them all off, but my favorite one here is hire the rich person could hire divination casters to harass them from afar, making them lose sleep and giving them exhaustion levels every now and again.
Definitely the thing where you hire bards to go around singing stories about what shitheads they are.
That was actually a very specific other option in here.
Yeah, that's
spreading,
a fun one.
Spreading rumors, killing your social class.
A little funnier one. Yeah.
Next question here. This is about character creation and like a pre-session 0 type of thing. This is from user... I love Reddit usernames sometimes. This is from user Potato Alpha 1213. How much of my players' backstories can I write? For instance, can I say, quote, you've lived in X town your whole life, even if some players have written backstories already?
I think you should session 0 that and like talk about it with the player.
I personally will give them a general layout of a few different areas they might be from around. But if someone does like a little backstory or is already familiar with the setting, I don't think it's an issue to be like, yeah, I'm from this town. My backstory is kind of already set. Here's a few hooks in there already. I think as long as we're not getting into my level 1 character has toppled 3 kings already, most backstories are pretty fine. But with writing a backstory for the players, I think it'd have to be a pretty specific setting to be like, hey, you guys are from here, from this town.
That's like when you're pitching the idea of the campaign to someone and be like, so I have this thing I want to try out with a party from this town. Like, this is something that has to happen in session 0, I think.
Yeah,
because like as the player, I don't want to put in all of that work only for the DM to be like, oh yeah, by the way, you're from here. Like that whole thing that you had going for yourself, you got to rewrite that. Like I'd be pissed.
I'm never going to run another game ever again where we don't all sit down and build characters together at the same time. I understand that kind of online. That can be difficult, but you can still all get together on a Zoom call when you build your characters and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. And I've always felt that part of session 0 should be, okay, now like we have the basic premise of the campaign, which is it takes place in an archipelago and there's going to be a lot of sea travel and pirates. And each of you is from there's like a little local group of 7 islands and each of you is going to be from one of those islands and you get to tell me about the island. Like you can do that. But like that's kind of the guardrails that you're putting down. But everything within that, then you give them the autonomy to come up with that.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to handle it.
And it's always fine to suggest stuff.
Yes.
It's always fine to say, well, this character said that his uncle, is a great, dueling instructor. how about if you're a fighter trained under him? Is that okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
And probably, 9 times out of 10, the player's going to go, oh yeah, that sounds awesome. That gives me a connection. Let's do that. But yeah, as long as there's leeway within whatever you're laying down for them to have their own ideas.
I think there's like a silent session negative one where they're kind of like working things out on their own. I'll just give you an example of the game I'm playing right now. So this takes place in Wildmount. He sent us little PDFs on just the general makeup of the continent that we're working with and what area we're going to be starting in. It's like, here's the areas that exist. You may want to be from one of these that's nearby. So don't worry too much about that part. Have a general, nondescript backstory that you want to go in that direction. Yep. And then we will fit it into the campaign. Mm-hmm. And we had everything from like my character. I mentioned my turtle character on this show a few times. All we know is that he does not want to be an adventurer. He got roped into it and he's pissed and he just wants to do his thing and go home. That is Kobo the Reluctant. Yeah,
you're kind of the Raphael of the group from what I can tell.
Kind of. We had one guy who all he wanted to do was make a pun about naming his character Dr. Martin. And he is a gnome artificer that wants to make shoes. Yeah. So we found a way to turn his gnome cobbler into an adventurer.
Sure.
I made it fit the campaign. I made his background fit into the he's actually the most connected one of us in the first city that we went to.
That's great.
And it was awesome. And there's all kinds of ways to make that work. But yeah, come to me with a husk of a character and let's fill it with things that'll be from this world.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to remember that backstory doesn't stop at session 0. The backstory emerges and grows as you play.
Yes.
So you can be, 4 years into the game, but if you say, you know what, we've never gone back to whatever. You mentioned at one time that you had grandparents that live in this part of the world after your family, the rest of your family emigrated or something like that. Let's go meet your grandparents and see what the deal with them is. And then, you can ask questions that evoke some of that backstory. When's the last time you went to visit them? Because it didn't happen to come up before. Have you ever been to visit them? And that kind of thing. And so, making sure that you're open to that as you go along is important too. And take some of that pressure off, I think, to want to impose that backstory on people. Because if you feel like my only opportunity for backstory is like right now at the beginning before all this gets started, and then it's all locked in stone, then you can just kind of let go of that and understand that you'll have plenty of opportunity to create more of it as you go. You don't need to worry too much about like stuff that you don't even need to worry about until they're 5th level.
We got time for one more. We'll see if we can end this on a note that's not a downer. We're going to take this down a downer path for a second. This question was posted by Foop Loopstring or Foo Ploopstring. I don't know. Question is, our group lost one of our GMs. Any advice on how to keep the group together? They say, so I was recently running a swashbuckler game using Pathfinder 2. And it was winding down to the end, and one of the table was excitedly planning on taking over and running his own game after that. We were still waiting for Kingmaker Anniversary to drop and having fun practicing different ideas between us to pass the time. I had recently moved, and so we were all playing remotely over Discord. I knew the guy running next had health problems and had for a very long time, but he was getting help and he seemed to be recovering pretty well. Well, one day he didn't respond to my messages, and 2 days later I get the story that he'd been rushed to the hospital and passed away in the morning. We'd always been a tight-knit group, and he'd always been very central personality in both games and IRL. Hell, even most of us got into gaming in the first place because of him. It was like we lost our best friend and mentor all in one. It's been a couple of weeks now, and I'm not sure how to pull the group back together or how long to leave things. I think they'd all hate to stop playing. It's just knowing how to approach them all after this. I'd really love to hear from anyone who's lost a table member, hear how you got through it and kept the party going. So this is a rough one, and this is major IRL stuff.
And joking aside, this is why it's immensely important to be clear on the distinction between players and characters. Is because sometimes when people say, one of our players died, what do we do? What they mean is one of our players died.
Yeah, when you said, like when you started this, I didn't really know what you meant by like lost the GM. I thought you meant like they quit.
Yeah. And when I saw just the title of this, I kind of like had that gut feeling that it was going in this direction.
Yeah.
It's a very, saying we lost someone is a very like soft way of
boy,
letting someone know.
I cannot help but feel like this is immensely important. In no other situation is it more important for you to just talk to everybody else and tell them exactly what you want to know and ask them how they're feeling. Because boy, this is a thing where if you make assumptions, you're gonna be wrong. Because
like everybody's grieving process is different.
Yeah, everybody reacts very differently to this kind of thing.
Yeah,
and there may be some people that say we couldn't possibly, and there will be other people who say he would want us to. The last thing in the world he would want is for us to stop playing.
Yeah,
and
it is our responsibility to keep this going.
And like another thing in the sphere of like, I don't know how I want to word this. I don't know. I've been to more funerals than I've had fucking birthdays, so I'm very familiar with the concept of loss. And like, just because the GM is gone, like this, presumably this group of people you're playing with is your friends, and like, I don't think it's ever not okay to like touch base and check in on your friends when you know that they are also grieving. They're also in this process.
Yeah, I think a huge thing here is that these are also this game started as IRL and moved to Discord when the one player moved.
Yeah.
So these are not like just, casual internet friends that is like, oh, okay, my condolences and then log off. This is someone you actually know. And assuming that they are even, partially close friends, I mean, maybe don't even talk about the game for like a little bit. Just reach out, see how everyone's doing, and help each other through the grieving process. And you'll kind of feel out when it's okay.
How long ago did this say that it was?
This was posted just 10 hours ago at the time of this recording. And it just says recently. It doesn't say how much time has passed since then. It just says one day he didn't respond, and then 2 days later he heard that he passed. So I don't have a time frame. Let me check comments real quick. But nothing involving a time frame. There's only a couple comments now anyways. It's such a fresh post. But a lot of the comments are pretty much along those lines. Like, take the time to mourn, pause, and when you think it's appropriate, reach out to see who's interested in continuing on. And then you can decide whether you start a new game. I see this. I've heard of this in like a lot of like MMOs, like like Warcraft and stuff like that. When a member of a guild passes, they'll have funerals in game. And,
I actually had an experience with that sort of recently. I am on the RuneScape account that I play on. I'm in a clan, and I'm in that clan's Discord server. And it was, I think, about a year ago now, maybe, that one of the people in the clan with us unfortunately passed away. And they, like, one of the leaders and the admins and the mods and stuff organized like fundraisers and things. They helped pay for his funeral and stuff. So like, even if they were just like a Discord server of people, like, I don't know. This got very heavy very quickly.
Yeah, sure. And I'm not taking away from like, how close of friends that people who are, I'm not going to say the word only, who are strictly online friends. Actually, this had to be over 10 years ago now. My fiance now, we were at a wedding for one of her like oldest like high school friends. And there was a whole table full of their WoW guild who flew in from all over the world. Some of them were from England, some were from Australia. They flew in from everywhere to go to New Jersey for a wedding for some they've never seen in person before. And they were awesome. We sat at their table. They were cool as hell. But like, yeah, I mean, whether this is the only reason they hung out or whether they were friends who happened to play games together, this is a major thing. And my condolences to this whole group. I'm sure you guys agree with me. But, it's going to take time, no matter what it is, and to return to any of the things you guys did together. So I would say just be there for each other, and when it's time to start playing again, start playing again.
And I think the other thing that's important is like if you feel like it's time to reach out to your friends, do that, because don't wait for them, because what can happen in these situations is everybody's waiting for everybody else to be ready, and so nobody actually reaches out. You know, if you're ready and you want to hear from your friends and you want to know, do it. Go ahead and reach out, because if they don't want to talk about it, they'll tell you they don't want to talk about it. And you know, and they're gonna, if they're really your friends, they're gonna know that you're doing it with empathy, with care. And so if they're not ready, they'll tell you, but they may be ready, but just not, you know, like one of the things that can be really tough in this situation is that socially in a D&D game, everybody's used to the DM being the one that kind of initiates contact between everybody, that organizes everything. You know, it's like having your social organizer gone. And so, you know, you don't have to step up to be the DM, but somebody kind of has to fill that role of the one that, you know, is bringing everybody together again.
Someone's got to be that linchpin.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And if it's got to be you, might as well be you. I'm so sorry to end this episode on that kind of note.
Oh my God, that's how we're ending this?
I know. Listen, I'm sorry. It's
okay.
I'm out of time.
It's okay. D&D is life.
Yeah. And you know, how many of your sessions end on a downer note or on a cliffhanger, and like, no, they can't all end with you guys celebrating a big victory. Sometimes you got to,
you know what, though? This isn't an ending. This is someone saying, how do we keep going?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
you're right.
That's the advice they're looking for. And so hopefully, you know, I mean, I don't know how much follow-up there is on these things, but hopefully, you know, whatever, 3 months from now, someone comes up and says, hey, just wanted to let you know we took your advice and the game is back on.
Yeah.
You know, or we all talked about it and, you know, we grieved for our friend together and we moved on.
Yeah.
So this is not the end of that story.
And, you know, and not implying that that's an ending at all, but, you know, sessions have to end. This podcast has to end, and you know, they can't always be on bright notes. And that's what's cool about, you know, this game and life in general, is that, you know, however we're feeling now, we'll come back and we'll do it better next time, you know?
Mm-hmm. You bet.
Guys, thanks so much for giving out some advice with me today. We're going to do these DM Academy episodes at the last week of every month. So we will see you. Well, we'll see you in a couple of days with a horror story. And
yeah, you can't avoid us forever.
No.
Nor should you.
You'll be back. They always come back. They always come back. And if this is releasing when I think it's releasing, we may have a very special horror story in a couple of days. So that could be kind of cool. Check us out at curmudgeonsanddragons.com. Jim, Greg, Josie, thanks so much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Once again, I'm Jason Portizo. We'll see you guys next time.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Curmudgeons and Dragons. Please share this with your favorite adventurers. Leave a review on Apple and follow us on social media. All links can be found at curmudgeonsanddragons.com. Practice safe adventuring, my friends.
This has been a JTP Audio podcast. Thanks for listening.